I know the Super Bowl was more than 2 months ago, but every now and then I walk past the Dunkin store. Images of that hilarious 1 minute ad featuring some of Hollywood's most famous actors float into my head. These days, when I hear Ben Affleck's name, I can hardly recall any of his movies. The only movie I can recall is Dunkin ad. Who knew Ben Affleck could sing and dance at the same time? I first became interested in Dunkin after their Dunkin's Super Bowl advertisement was released. When I searched up most popular Super Bowl advertisements of all time, this Dunkin's advertisement was one of the first to pop up. As I watched and rewatched the advertisement, I was intrigued by the comedy and music because it felt silly seeing grown men do those things. I also began to wonder, if I found the ad to be so funny and so memorable, how successful was it really in selling Dunkin products? After all, wasn't that Dunkin's intention, to become famous in the minds of coffee drinkers and donut lovers around the world? Hi, I'm Aaron, your host at Advantage Point, where you get to know my perspective and vantage point of companies that have made it big enough to advertise in large-scale international sport events like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the World Cup, and more. How they were able to achieve this feat, how they were able to come so far from when they first started, and how their advertisements have evolved over time. I will walk you through their business journey that led them here. In this episode, we will talk about the rise to fame of Dunkin', how this small donut and coffee shop eventually turned into a multi-millionaire company that sells more than just average beverages nowadays. Dunkin' Donuts, a company that was established in 1948 Massachusetts, United States, was created by William Rosenberg. William Rosenberg started off by selling snacks and foods when he was 17. The first company he worked for was an ice cream company named Simcoe, where he went around delivering ice cream from refrigerated trucks. After 4 years for working at Simcoe, Rosenberg went from a delivery boy to a national sales manager at the age of 21. He started to supervise the production, shipping, cold storage, and manufacturing of ice cream, and at the same time, managing first 40, then 100 trucks. After several years, when World War II hit, he joined Bethlehem Steel in Massachusetts. Bethlehem Steel was a steelmaking company that sold products for the war. After the war ended in 1945, Rosenberg borrowed $1,000 along with the $500 he profited from the war and opened his first food company named Industrial Luncheon Services. Now, Industrial Luncheon Services started off as a company that delivered meals and coffee break snacks to factory workers on the outskirts of Boston. Afterwards, Rosenberg had enough money from selling products to create his own catering vehicles, which could more easily deliver beverages. Till finally, 1948, 40% of Rosenberg's revenues came from coffee and donuts. He immediately started a retail shop that specialized in those products, opening his first only coffee and donut shop called the Open Kettle on Memorial Day. He later on renamed Open Kettle to a more suitable name for what he was selling and is now named the famous Dunkin', a name we all recognize. Dunkin', thriving under Rosenberg's leadership, continued to have a strong consumership well into the present, where today the company is recognizable almost anywhere. Now, you may be asking, how did a small donut and coffee shop become one of the best-selling franchises in the world? The answer lies in the way Dunkin' sells and showcases its new products. Before the 21st century hit, donuts could only be sold to people who came to the shops and bought them. But nowadays, everything, and we all know, everything can be ordered online. With this, Dunkin' realized it was time to make their popularity even larger and better. Even John Costello, Dunkin's president of global marketing and innovation agreed that it's time to go social. Dunkin immediately dived right into social media, which was one of the best decisions they have ever made. By using these platforms, a new beverage could be shown worldwide within just a few days. Along with that, Dunkin treats all their social channels in unique ways. They try to avoid repetitive posts on each channel, but instead change each one up. For instance, their account on Twitter serves as a place for them to speak individually with their followers. Having different purposes for each platform helps Dunkin build rapport with their customers and also makes their products look even more enticing, which we know is the most important thing for Dunkin. Throughout the decades, Dunkin has released many interesting and entertaining advertisements featuring many different celebrities. For instance, in one famous advertisement in July 2021, a Korean actor named Kim Soo-yeon was featured in a Dunkin advertisement. Considered by fans and media, Kim Soo-yeon is known to be the king of commercials. He has signed 17 brands and appeared over 30 ads in just 1 year. This advertisement was very successful because Kim Soo-yeon was not only famous to millions around the world and a great advertiser, but this was also his first advertisement after becoming one of the brand ambassadors of Dunkin Philippines. This made many fans of not only Dunkin, but also fans of Kim Soo-yeon from South Korea excited to see this collaboration. In the advertisement, you see Kim drinking a famous Dunkin coffee, along with eating a strawberry donut. His expression showed how great the donut tasted. And afterwards, Kim said there's nothing like Dunkin in the end, which is a famous slogan by Dunkin. In total, Kim Soo-yeon got paid approximately $6.6 million for this only 30-second ad. This ad had over 60,000 views in just 1 or 2 months, which had an impact on Dunkin's new products and how they were shown. Along with Kim Soo-yeon's famous Dunkin advertisement, there still come so many more. Another prominent and famous advertisement is the 30-second advertisement starring Ben Affleck. This advertisement, made in 2023, was portraying Affleck as a Dunkin consumer, chattering on and on about how he was going to be acting in a Dunkin commercial, confusing the crew members who were trying to take his order, which was quite hysterical. Later on, you see Ben walking out carrying a large Dunkin drink, along with Dunkin's famous slogan, "America runs on Dunkin," being put on screen in the advertisement. This advertisement played a great role for Dunkin's business because Ben is famously known for ordering his drinks and beverages from Dunkin. The product he bought only cost $1, along with any medium or large coffee. In my opinion, this would definitely interest customers to buy something so scrumptious while so cheap, especially if Ben Affleck likes it. Now, what you've all been waiting for is the true Dunkin advertisement. After all these well-known advertisements were released, comes the most famous of them all, the Dunkin's Super Bowl advertisement. This advertisement has been regarded as one of the most successful Super Bowl advertisements ever released. How exactly did this advertisement gain so much popularity in just a small bit of time? A reason for this is because of the people that were shown in the advertisement, specifically Ben Affleck. As previously mentioned, millions know that Ben Affleck is a long-time Dunkin fan, and he often buys his coffees and other beverages from Dunkin. Knowing this, Dunkin decided to create an advertisement starring Ben Affleck, but prices did not come easy. Dunkin paid a total of $14 million for just a 1-minute advertisement. But there were also positives. With the already delicious products Dunkin was selling, now Ben Affleck in the Super Bowl advertisement for Dunkin, sales exploded with this combination. Ben Affleck got paid a whopping $10 million for just being shown for 60 seconds. After the ad was released, Ben Affleck even went to work for Dunkin as an order taker for a day, which is also later another video that was released by Dunkin. Secondly, Dunkin is also so popular because of the audience watching their videos. The main audience reacting to Dunkin advertisements are young consumers or Gen Z consumers. Over the past decade, Dunkin gained momentum and loads of popularity amongst Gen Z consumers. Now anytime a new advertisement is released, Gen Zers are most likely the first ones to see it and will most likely share it on social media platforms, making the advertisement more popular within just a few days. With all the popularity Dunkin gained among Gen Zers, Dunkin ranked 8th place among advertisers, with the greatest increases in momentum in 2024's Brand Bull report. There was also a series of advertisements Dunkin had released before the Super Bowl ad. All these advertisements also featured Ben Affleck in them, foreshadowing the main Super Bowl commercial. Just a day after the Dunkin's advertisement was aired, Dunkin launched a new menu and the jumpsuits that were featured in the advertisement. This was an amazing decision made by Dunkin because not only would everyone want to come to try out the new menu, but millions would also be shopping for the new jumpsuit after the advertisement was released. I was also one that watched it. After watching the ad, I searched up more about how successful this advertisement truly was. Shockingly, it said that the Dunkin's tracksuit was completely sold out in only 19 minutes. And this was after the ad was released. This captured my attention and my interest a lot. As I continued to find out more about the advertisement, it has led me to making this podcast on the success and explanations of Dunkin's amazing advertisements. Now, as a takeaway, this advertisement is one of the best examples of a worldwide memorable company that invested and advertised in a huge sporting event, the Super Bowl, and resulted in even more success than before. To consumers and followers, Dunkin has proved how a company that is nowhere near related to sports has profited millions from combining their creativity with sports. Now, many would probably expect Nike, Reebok, or Adidas to turn out the most successful when featured in these Super Bowl advertisements. But nope, it was Dunkin who came out the most successful. Dear listeners, I hope the journey of Dunkin advertisements has taught you and inspired you that you can too use advertisements as a form of business growth, entertainment, and manifesting and showing your own products to the world. The journey of Dunkin, from William Rosenberg's Open Kettle to releasing one of the most popular Super Bowl advertisements. Dunkin is by far one of the most engrossing franchises I have ever heard of. What I hope everyone has learned from my podcast is the successes of Dunkin and how rising from a standalone donut and coffee shop to one of the most famous brands in the world has truly inspired you. For Dunkin, they had one of the most unique journeys to success. If you've made it this far into the episode, I would like to thank you. And I hope my podcast has helped you become more aware of the potential of small businesses to make it big enough to be able to advertise in major international events. There's much to learn from their growth and the steps they took to get there. I hope you found something you would apply to your own business. If you have any feedback, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to email me at advantagepointpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, and I hope to see you again in the next episode. Stay tuned for more.